From far away, the ruins of the elf castles look just like another rocky hill with some old natural stones on the top. And only when one gets very close, suddenly one realizes that actually these are ruins of what once has been an over-engineered fort or castle. The absolutely gigantic size of the building blocks by itself speaks loud about the level of technology that would have been available to the original builders of the structure. This is not a natural bedrock that split vertically by natural cracks. As we examine the structure further, it becomes obvious that these are proper building blocks that have been shaped by somebody and then stacked on the top of one another. Or they were cast out of geopolymer, unless there are other options of which we are not even aware. This is definitely not the work of some savages. Just look at the sheer size of their bricks, and this is bigger than the entire flats that some of us have, especially those who live in the high-tech cities of ours. We, supposedly the crown jewel of all evolution. Or are we just told it is crown high-tech jewel so that we confine ourselves voluntarily to those prison cells of the cities? All the elf castles are positioned on top of hills, always with breathtaking panoramic views around. And they are always very difficult to access from the area of the foot of the hill. Always there would be only one or maximum two so-called entries, and even those entries can't be used without the help of climbing gear. We can only speculate why is that so. Were there vicious animals? Gigantic lizards wandering around? You don't want that in your castle. Or maybe not very well-mannered local tribes? That's also possible. Or maybe the original builders and residents of the elf castles didn't need to go much on the ground for transportation or other pursuits. Maybe they had vehicles for air transportation, or they were using simply teleportation. Or maybe feeling the pulsating beauty of Mother Earth was priority in their life, and that's why they chose to live on hilltops because of the views around. Or there could be countless other options that I can't even imagine at this point, because obviously this culture was superior to us, and they had much more options available than I can imagine. These are definitely extremely old structures. If we believe the mainstream geological dating techniques, they could be easily millions of years old. I personally don't trust the full system of geological dating, and soon there will be video particularly on this subject, but still it can be used in relative sense, at least to illustrate that they are extremely old. So here amongst the categories on megaliths.org, there is a small one called Elf Castle, and I have listed a couple of them. Hopefully in future we'll have much more to list. Currently it's a relatively small category, but that's normal because practically the full category was discovered very recently by Alexander Koltypin. I mean discovered for all practical purposes, and we have very few of them. Perpericon in Bulgaria is definitely one of them. The Kukino, I have classified it as elf castle for my own reasons. These are from Alexander Koltypin. Now, the one in Hattusha is not the famous Katusha you know of. If you see the site description, actually there is an elf castle in the vicinity of the famous, better known parts of Hattusha. Basically, this place was used for a very long time by various cultures, if not civilizations. So these are parts of the elf castle portion, and it's full of, I don't know, drill holes or things like that over there. Is it armature, or if it was cast, it could be armature, or if it is a proper stone, then this could be drill holes. Most of the images in this video are from these two elf castles because they are relatively well studied, and even that is still very, very little. There was an attempt of somebody to access the group of castles after Alexander Koltypin, but that was unsuccessful because apparently proper climbing gear was absolutely necessary along with rock climbing skills. This is how the entries look like. The entries to the elf castles, they're pretty steep. Was there an elevator here or something? We don't know. And actually here in the vicinity there are 5 or 6 more at least, but I haven't yet included them in the directory due to lack of information. And also, somebody recently submitted this one from Spain. This is not a certified by Alexander Koltypin elf castle, but it looked very, very similar to me, especially these parts. So I dared to put it in the category based on my own judgment. And there are a couple of more elf castles, proper ones, in Bulgaria, but they're in such a poor condition. The ruins are so eroded that I didn't even include them in the directory. Alexander Koltypin did study them, and he actually thinks that they can be an earlier generation of elf castles compared to these ones in Turkey due to the level of erosion, but they definitely belong to the same style. This is interesting, a hint of what I call pancake technique. The information in this video is basically taken from an interview that I took from Alexander Koltypin just yesterday. You can find the original interview on my channel. Unfortunately, it is very long and it is in Russian. But I will be making a couple of more videos based on the information that I received yesterday from Alexander, because there are a couple of extremely important new points that the world should know about. I also think that expeditions should be organized to climb and research these most amazing buildings. And if somebody can think of a way to finance such expeditions, please do contact me using the contact provided for such expeditions on my website megaliths.org. And for those who make particularly generous contributions, there will be an opportunity to personally participate in such expeditions.